Hello everybody, there's so much appeal to this game. It should be a very entertaining night. Two crackerjack teams that have a history against one another. They're coached by two of the best in the business and they've got two of the best players in the business, Wayne Carey and Glenn Jakovich. Beautiful night here for what should be a magnificent game between the West Coast Eagles and North Melbourne, two of the very best teams in the 1990s, and it's great to have footy back. So Jakovich on shoal by the look of it. This is interesting. Scholl at centre half forward, Jakovich at full forward with McIntosh on him. So North Melbourne kicking to the left of screen. Gardner getting the first of it, but the first kick going forward by Pike, and Jakovich has taken the mark. Well, interesting here. Carey, as we said, at full forward a moment ago, out wide to Wooden. So Jakovich on Craig Scholl to start. Wooden's kick to centre wing. Good strong mark at the back by Ball. Had a disappointing 97. He's such a talent, this fellow. Kicks the ball well inside 50. A Turnbull, good attempt. Mickey Martin with him. Martin goes off the ground. Not that far. McKenna's handball's a beauty. Matera should finish it off. Round the body. Pretty good. Close. Hasn't quite made it. Kemp's disappointed. Came off his hands. Pike's got the job on Kemp. That's going to be a good matchup. Philip Matera, I've got to say, Tim, is starting to look more like Peter every year.
Well, he certainly is, and he's starting to play more like Peter every year too. I thought he was terrific during the finals last year.
Lewis, Reed, Schofield, Stone on the interchange for West Coast Eagles. Robbo, welcome to Friday night footy.
Yeah, no drama, Bruce. It's going to be a terrific match, I'm sure. The Eagles will certainly acquit themselves a bit better than they did in the second of the pre-season matches. This is Johnny Worsfold with the football, and he's at left half forward, just a little undecided as to whether to go right, but he kicks with the left nicely, but it's well marked by Groom. Groom kicks it out wide, and the mark taken by Anthony Stevens, the best and fairest winner for North Melbourne last year, and the recently appointed vice-captain. Certainly some recognition for a great worker at the North Melbourne Football Club, Anthony Stevens.
And Jakovich has gone back on Carey now.
John Russo's with us as well, our fourth umpire. Always good to have you here, John.
And there's nothing like Friday night footy to get the adrenaline pumping, is there, Bruce?
That's for sure. Rock, Freeborn, Welsh and Simpson. Russell Morris is down on the boundary. The weather expected to get down to 13, currently 17. It has been Melbourne at its best in the autumn, which is a beautiful time.
Bruce, thanks for that introduction, but just quickly on the conditions down here, you wouldn't have a better, most beautiful night for football. The ground itself sensational as Scholl takes the mark. Mate, take it away, Bruce.
Scholl's long one, going for it, getting back McKenna. He's got it. Good mark. It was a fair attempt by Scholl. So, Russell, everything's terrific down there, is it?
Absolutely beautiful. I went more, had a walk in the centre of the ground. We might see a bit of the blood rule tonight. It's very, very hard. The turf wicket may take skin off with some knees and also elbows.
Kemp out wide, looking for ball. Bell, bit slow, run down, terrific tackle, and going away, the Eagles. Nearly a half volley by Philip Matera, tapped it on cleverly. The tackle on Heady was okay. Stevens with a little one, wants the line, finds it out of play.
Robert Scott's picking up Peter Matera. Matera is playing in defence for the West Coast Eagles. Robert Scott's playing in the forward line for North Melbourne, and he's going to play a defensive role on Peter Matera. They're just concerned that he is the playmaker from deep in the back half.
That was Michael Braun dashing through a moment ago for the Eagles. Thanks for that, Robbo.
North Melbourne get the ball forward through Bell, and the mark taken by Archer. He looks very enthusiastic. Well, they all have to be, don't they? They've been sitting it out for 6 months, and now it's really the heat of the moment now at the MCG. Scott gets the ball out. Taken to the ground there was Scholl, gathered by Peter Matera. Oh, he is a magnificent player. How did he find the space and eventually get away and kick the ball out wide, out in front of Heady, who made good position with his body there, and the ball finishes on his chest. He runs away after 2 bounces, kicks the ball towards full forward. Gehrig at the back, he's got it, he's going to kick a goal. Well done by Fraser Gehrig, he's missed. Did everything right and then missed.
Oh, Robbo, just brilliant play. Deep in the back half there by Peter Matera, just ran, created space, got it out wide, and then not good body play on that occasion by Grimm. He really just had to push harder against Gehrig as the ball arrived on that occasion, just to get Gehrig off balance. Wasn't able to do that, but Gehrig unable to finish.
Big kick out, good mark taken by Groom. He'll be hungry for success here. He's had a frustrating run to Abraham. Normally a magnificent kick. Kicks it well inside 50. Hewitt there with McKenna. No free kick paid. McKenna might be disappointed. Jakovich clever off the ground. Going with him is Archer. Well done, Archer. Back to Hewitt. Back to Archer. Jakovich has got him. Fantastic tackle behind. I've got to get this one in, Tim. Archer and Djakovic were born on the very same day 25 years ago. They both had their 25th birthday on Tuesday this week.
So that makes them the same age, does it?
It does, Tim. It's a point to 2. Why is Djakovic not standing Carey? Now, Carey's come up the ground. McIntosh is on him. Can you fill me in?
No, I can't at this stage, Bruce, but I'll get back to you.
Good on you. Think about it.
Banfield with the footy for the West Coast in towards the centre. Brilliantly taken away there by Cousins. Got the handball to Matera. Doesn't he cover some territory? And the little left foot kick was very accurate for Philip Matera. And that's equally as good. And terrific running provided by Braun. And Braun has marked only a matter of 4 metres out and a very slight angle.
Well, the West Coast Eagles just brought the ball out of defence so deftly on that occasion, and just terrific running. They did say, and I'd said that pre-game, that they were hoping to kick more points this year. Their attack has been down the past, and it appears they're going to attack the corridor perhaps a little bit more often than what they've done in the past.
So Braun kicks the first goal of the game for the West Coast Eagles. They lead by 7 points.
Well, this West Coast Eagles are brilliant down back just a short time ago. Just terrific defensive play, made it very hard for North Melbourne to shake free. They forced them behind, they went to the set play, and then they went all the full distance to the other end of the ground to set up this scoring opportunity. And they certainly are showing some pace in the early stages of this game.
Promising start for the Eagles. They lead 8-1, 1-2 to a behind. Still Djakovic on Scholl, going early Capuano. No free kick, Gardner. Gardner didn't have any hope there of having a run at the footy.
I agree with you, Bruce. I mean, there was certainly no intention to go for the footy then. It was just to make sure Gardner couldn't go for the footy.
What a beautiful bounce by the umpire.
You keeping tally of those, Robbo?
No, it's a contentious issue at the moment.
Well, that one was slightly off cue. Little kick forward by Stevens. Scholl and Djakovic. Shannon Grant. Well done, Djakovic. To smother. Banfield in his 100th game. Off the ground by Grant. Chance here now for North Melbourne. Going for goal. Pike. He's got it. North bounce back. Some good footballing close there.
Well, sometimes you just have to force the ball forward. It doesn't matter what else you do. You've just got to force the ball forward. That occasion, Martin Pike, just terrific, just running through right from the centre of the ground. And on this occasion, just struggling to grab hold of the ball, though. Good protection there by his North Melbourne teammate, just to ward off the West Coast Eagles approaching defender. And on this occasion, just see the way Anthony Stevens just dies on the ball, just to create another 50-50 contest. And then off the ground there by Grant. Not sure really where it's going, but his game plan on that occasion was just to push the ball forward.
Watch number 13, Tim. If you were coach of a team, you wouldn't ask any more of this boy. Wouldn't. Nearly got in there and smothered it.
Well, he chased hard, didn't he?
Terrific
That's exactly
stuff.
the way Mickey Malthouse likes to see his boys play.
West Coast by a point. Bounce at the centre. Gardner up high. Taken away by Kemp. Hand pass out wide. Not quite wide enough for Heady. Carey was able to gather. Evans under pressure. Braun has the footy. But the umpire's found a free kick. It looks as though it's going to go to Martin Pike.
Paid for holding the ball too long, Robbo.
Martin Pike has been a very, very good player for North Melbourne since crossing from the old Fitzroy club. West Coast by a point. Michael Braun has kicked a goal for the Eagles, and Martin Pike has kicked a goal for North Melbourne. Gathered here by Abraham, brilliantly tackled by Worsfold. Brady Anderson back to Stevens. That's Anthony Stevens to full forward. A contest there within scoring distance. Archer, sneaky little hand pass. Kick forward, the mark taken by McKenna. McKenna gets it away to Wooden.
Wooden out wide, good kick, waits it beautifully for McIntosh. He's got the job on Carey tonight. McIntosh, clever kick inside, used the foot beautifully there and found Gardner.
I reckon that's what they'll do a lot more this year, the West Coast Eagles. I think they'll centre up the ball a lot earlier than what they have done in the past. Going back out of the corridor now, but that kick then by McIntosh back into the corridor to Gardner, he really should have gone on quickly then, because they needed to get the ball into their forward line as quickly as they possibly could, so there'd be one-on-one contests.
Cousins to full forward, big fly at the back by Bull, taken by McCartney. Didn't quite control it to Stevens. He had to be accurate in that situation. Clever Stevens off the ground, boundary throw in.
Bruce, I've got a bit of a theory on why Malthouse has put McIntosh onto Carey. I think it's a very good move, because Carey's been preparing for Djakovic all week, and it just might have unsettled him a little. Getting McIntosh is something he didn't expect.
Interesting theory. 50 metres from goal. There's the King and McIntosh. He's a great player, McIntosh. He started his career basically at the same time as Djakovic. Cousins to full forward. Gehrig will take a fly and takes a beauty. He's an athlete, isn't he?
He's a very exciting player, Fraser Gehrig, but on that occasion we saw Chris Groom do exactly the same thing as what he did the first contest in the air against Fraser Gehrig. He just gave him too much space. He had to have his body early in that contest against Fraser Gehrig, so he knew exactly where he was to stop that 1-2 leap in the air. Fraser Gehrig, a very clever player.
Guides it through. He's a potent force, isn't he? He didn't play in the final last year against North, and it's 2-2 to 1-1.
Well, there's been a criticism. Sorry, Robert.
Both goals have come from products of the northern part of Victoria. Michael Braun from Echuca and that young fella from Wodonga.
Well, that just backs up what we've always said about the Victorians, doesn't it, Robbo? That they do produce some sensational footballers. Fraser Gehrig, he is a star in the making. One of the criticisms of this fella has been the fact that he hasn't taken enough overhead marks. He may be able to improve that.
Well, certainly a good player, Fraser Gehrig, and he's been getting better over the period that he's been with the West Coast Eagles, having been recruited from Wodonga in Victoria, and he's kicked the second goal for the West Coast Eagles. Pike and Kemp, good contest between those two players. Kick forward by Grant. Now to inside the forward 50 for North Melbourne. High flyer, not able to take the mark there was Hewitt. And eventually the umpire will call for a bounce there. Mickey Martin picking up Fraser Gehrig.
And fascinating, down the other end of the ground, Pike has been picking up Kemp. And what he's doing is he's just running forward as far and as fast as he possibly can. He wants to draw Kemp away from the contests.
Archer up over the top, tried to force it forward. Knocked away from Scott. Grant at the back, he's got it. Now that wasn't a bad mark. I don't think he got that high off the ground. And he snatched it from behind a one grab.
He really impresses me, this player. I think they've added a real touch of brilliance to the North Melbourne side this year in their recruitment of Winston Abraham and also in Shannon Grant. They're both players who just play smart football. Last week in the Ansett Cup Grand Final, Shannon Grant had some very important touches, and so too did Winston Abraham. This guy's going to be a real asset.
Well, he's usually a pretty good kick, and this is no exception. It's the second goal for North. Shannon Grant won, Martin Pike won, West Coast by a point.
Well, the one thing you know about North Melbourne when they play football is that they're going to stay pretty much in the corridor, the central part of the ground when they go forward. They kick the ball up high, they get there in numbers at the bottom of the pack, they just continually kick the ball forward. And when you've got little players like this, Shannon Grant, who can finish for you, Josh Wooden just learned a very important lesson then. He's got to go with him.
Pike and Kemp, and Djakovic has gone on to Carey for the first time in the match. They're at full forward, so about 12 minutes in. Good signs for North. They've been able to get goals quickly after both of West Coast. Abraham, brilliant. Beauty. Carey going for it hard. Again, Djakovic with him. Back to Pike. Not bad. To Capuano. Smothered by McIntosh was good. It's a high-class game early. The kick to centre wing. Cousins as he stretches and arches his back so beautifully, and then handballs wide to the 100-gamer in Banfield. Over to Evans, slow handball, not a good one. Oh, can this bloke play footy? Abraham, and then doms it out wide superbly to Stevens. Chip over the top, good. Rock onto it, not bad, but with it was Wooden, and Wooden's little left-footed back to centre wing. So some untidy play after such a promising build-up.
Yes, they should have got something
down the field there.
Now the kick downfield.
Yep, certainly. Late bump on Stevens.
What about Abraham?
He's just brilliant. But they'll get another chance here in North Melbourne just to set up another attacking opportunity. On that occasion, Stevens out wide just took the wrong option.
Carey with the footy, kicks it across the half-forward line. Good lead and good kick. Scholl is marked 50 metres from goal.
Needed the kick, Carey, too. I mean, he got the kick down the field. He needed to touch the footy.
Bruce, I still reckon he's suspect overhead with his marking. On that occasion, he came out, we saw him, but he just looked confident. I don't know whether he's got the shoulders so heavy that he does find it difficult to actually pull his arms up above his head, but he still doesn't look comfortable in those positions.
Scholl to either level the scores or give North Melbourne the advantage. It's a good kick. Right to the line, that's a mark. No.
Took the second grab over the line.
Yeah, as you called it, Tim, I mean, the first grab certainly before the line, and the goal umpire adjudicating that the second grab was after the line. So, unfortunately, North Melbourne paying the price for a fantastic attempt to mark.
I'd say, well, Craig Shaw will be dirty on that too.
There's one grab inside.
Oh.
Gee, I don't know. The ball's got to be completely over the line, bear in mind, so I'd suggest that maybe that was a mark.
Well, scores are level, and the football with Michael Braun at left half back for the West Coast Eagles. He's had a good start. He looks as though he's matching up at the moment with Anthony Stevens around the middle of the ground. Peter Matera protesting there to the umpire. A holding of his jumper by Robert Scott, but the umpire having nothing of that. Scott's kick in towards the middle. And the mark is taken by McCartney.
That's fascinating, Robbo, because Matera started down back. He's been picked up by Scott. They've decided to swing him into attack now and just try and get a mismatch in the air with Robert Scott.
McKenna to Kemp. Kemp's kick around the body. Abraham going to work the footy. Handball to Pickett. Pickett, good kick to Martin. Mickey over the top. He's okay, Anderson. He kept his wits. Tapped on by Hewitt. Bit lucky North in the end. Stevens a floater, hard ball to mark. Archer charging in, but Jakovic. No correction, Gardner. Gee, that might be ominous calling Gardner Jakovic. He may have a career that's not far short, and that's putting a big tag on him. I know, because Jakovic is one of the all-times. Stevens, not so good. Worsfold, back to ball. He's had a few touches early. Ball's kicked back to centre wing. North Melbourne. King couldn't take the mark. Abraham again had his wits about him. Back to King. Well smothered though by Cousins. And a boundary throw in right in front of the 7 commentary position. Scores level here. North 2-2, West Coast 2-2.
Bruce, John Worsfold just attacked Anthony Stevens with a beautiful hip and shoulder, and you could just tell the look on his face. He loved it, and it really hurt Stevens.
He looks fit, Worsfold, too, doesn't he?
My word. They all look fit, Bruce. I don't know whether you want to run into any of them. They look pretty good. Players at this stage of the year. David King just throws it onto his boot. Taken by Scott, run down by Matera. And Fairley. Brilliant.
You just
Matera
don't get away
gets
from
the
this
free
bloke.
kick.
You just don't get away from this bloke. You've got to be able to feel the heat that he provides when he's chasing and get rid of the ball as quickly as you possibly can.
Great little arm wrestle going on at the moment. 14 points apiece. If we see this for the best part of the game, it's going to be very, very intense. A great contest between these two prominent contenders for success in 1998. The ball up to full forward for the West Coast, but a straightforward mark is taken by Capuano on the full back line. Really do like Matthew Capuano in this lineup, and if Corey McKernan can get fit, oh, gee, they're going to have a good side. Simpson, Stevens, back to Groom, very ordinary kick by Groom, 3-on-1 here, West Coast favour, gathered by Gardner, run down in the finish by Rock, the ball spills to Banfield. Banfield's kick is wide, just a little too wide, and bounces over for a throw-in.
So they get back quickly, the North Melbourne defence. They get back, they cover the space, they make it very difficult for the West Coast Eagles, if they get held up in the midfield, to go forward with any real conviction.
There's nobody within 100 metres of the North goal at the moment. Everybody's in the half that West Coast is attacking. King going hard, pushing towards the boundary line, edging through for a behind. Heady booting it over the line. So West Coast by 1 behind. King's hurt himself.
Bruce, Anthony Stevens in the middle of the ground has had 9 kicks and 1 handball. And we've still got 7 minutes left in this first quarter.
King's going to take the kick in there. This is how it happened. Just running into Ryan Turnbull. Friday night, Max. The first time that West Coast has been at the MCG on a Friday night since the early 90s, 1992. Worsfold's kicked to about 50. Heady never had a crack at it. Blakey's got it. An outstanding career he's had. Mr. Consistency. Stevens has kicked straight to the opposition. Jakovic hasn't taken it cleanly. Carey might get a second go at him. Jakovic kept his cool. McKenna coughed it up under pressure. Now it's Scholl. He's under pressure too. Good kick back in. Jakovic went for it. Carey can make something of this. Little under kick, not so good. Handball by Anderson. The king will goal. Goes for it. Leads it back. There's a touch. I think it's a goal. North in front. Lucky maybe, but he made the most of it. It's 3-2 to 2-4.
We talk about the little things in football. On this occasion, just watch Simpson. What's this? Coming up, we're going to miss it. It was just before that passage of play there, but Simpson, he made the contest That's all he had to do. That was all that he had in his mind at that particular time. Made the contest, the rebound went to Kerry, and that really created the opportunity to score that goal.
That goal umpire's been under a bit of pressure so far tonight, hasn't he? Oh.
Well, a couple of situations down that left-hand end of the ground with the goal umpire first of all awarding a behind when Archer had taken the mark. Second grab was, according to him, was over the line, and then just centimetres in that kick from Wayne Carey, a goal to North Melbourne, their third. The Eagles will go forward. The ball is at half forward. Jason Ball, a flying shot at goal. It's a pretty good kick across his left shoulder, and now under pressure is Groom. So is Archer. He's able to get his kick away, and that is one of the real traits of North Melbourne. The bloke had hold of his jumper, he was able to keep his footing and still kick the ball effectively clear of the goal.
Robbo, you might have noticed that after that goal, Wayne Carey was remonstrating with Anthony Stevens for him breaking rules. He kicked the ball over his head straight to Djakovic, so he should be kicking to Leeds.
Well, we'll watch that with a bit of interest. Here's a bit of good fortune. Simpson's on the end of it, just a hack out of the air from the right back pocket, and his kick goes to half forward, but a very good mark taken by McIntosh. Combining with the other key defender in Djakovic, he kicks across to Stone. Stone, who started on the bench, onto the ground, kicks towards the wing position, and a good mark out in front of his face is taken by Ball.
It's been good ball. He's had a promising start here. Just waited one to Stone. That's a good mark.
The only problem is Ball has been taking his mark so far from goal, Bruce. He's a good key marking forward, but you'd really want him to be taking those marks inside 50.
McKenna's off the ground for West Coast. Stone's kick. Archer
Almost a free kick then.
Get rid of Lewis, didn't he?
We had the best position to see that. Yeah, certainly pushed him out, didn't he?
Well, quick to put Archer at the back on Lewis when Lewis came onto the ground. Scott, 50-50 run to the ground, who used his body well and now has a panic in front of him. Is normally a great kick. Comes inside to Stevens. He's got him. Handball okay. North go forward again to full forward. Belted away by McIntosh. He's had a beautiful first turn. Bell goes for goal. It's bouncing. Can Worsfold get there? He does. Well, he's hurt himself. Maybe he's hurt the post. He's so tough, Johnny. Get down there and rub that post, Robbo, and make it better.
And he gives all that lovely, kind advice to people who come into his chemist shop, Bruce. He's such a lovely man, isn't he?
He's
behind the counter.
He's a great bloke, but I wasn't good enough to play against him. But one of you blokes were, and I'm glad you didn't.
Tough as old boots. Let's get on with the footy, eh?
Bruce,
right half back, it's been knocked over for a boundary throw in.
Robbo, Guy McKenna's certainly in a bit of trouble. We're not too sure what it is. It could be like an upper left thigh or a groin, but we're still having a look at it, but it doesn't look too good.
No, well, that's not a good sign. I think he's in the best 18 whenever they pick a side, so if he's on the bench, there must be something wrong with him, and maybe we'll find out a bit about that as the game goes on. Simpson hacks it forward again. Lots of congestion here on the ground. Attempted kick out of there by Scott. Matera, that's Peter, goes for the safety of the boundary line and gets it. So the ball will be thrown in about 75 metres around from North Melbourne's goal. We'll have another look at Johnny Worsfold crashing into the goal post, and he might have a bruise back there, but I'm sure he'll be all right. Capuano at the back and Gardner at the front. Ball comes to Scott. Snapshot by Robert Scott. Bounces and bounces through for a behind.
Just how important, Tim, is the extra interchange player. If McKenna's out of business, I know he's a terrific player. He's hard to replace, but at least Mickey's got 3 extras, hasn't he? He's got that 1 extra on the boundary.
Yeah, and when you've got a deep list like the West Coast Eagles have, then of course it is of prime importance to have those 4 extra players on the interchange bench. But really, when you look at the quality of a player like Guy McKenna, you're probably not going to match him with any of those players you've got sitting on the bench.
Braun's kick to centre wing after the 1-2 with Reid, and the free kick going to West Coast to Ball. So again, Ball getting a kick, as Tim said, well up the ground, again at centre wing, but he's getting plenty of the football.
Can't throw any light on what that one was paid for, Bruce.
Thanks, John. Kick forward, Worsfold. Good take by Pike. Back to King. King leans back for a bit of distance. Djakovic front spot. Carey used his hands on Djakovic's back. Groom pushes forward cleverly. Shoulder kick the goal. They're good finishes, aren't they? These Kangaroos.
They give tremendous credit there to Groom. Again, big in the situation, wasn't he?
But they just keep coming at you, North Melbourne. We've seen it in the Ansett Cup series. They've been behind in the first quarter. They may have been behind in the second quarter. But the third or the fourth quarter, They just keep going at the same pace, and that's a perfect illustration of the way North Melbourne play. They just keep centering the ball in their forward line. They work to get to the contest. They may not get a clean possession, but they'll just keep pushing it through. They'll keep pushing it forward, and finally someone, like we saw Craig Scholl there, gets on the end of it.
Well, he's kicked the 4th goal for the Kangaroos. They lead by 12 points. It's Banfield to kick the West Coast Eagles to half forward. Now the crumb gatherers are needed. Cousins was nearly on the end of it, but look at tenacious Mickey Martin. He kicks it back to half forward as the siren sounds to end a very entertaining first quarter.
Carey and Djakovic played the second half of that opening quarter on one another, and North kicked 4 of the last 5 goals in that first term. They looked strong towards the end after West Coast had so much of the footy early and hadn't been able to really put it on the board. Ryan Turnbull there with Tony Evans and Jared Schofield. Part of the interchange bench. There's a query on Guy McKenna. Russell Morris will keep us informed there. There's Guy McKenna now sitting down. So we'll see if he's capable of coming back. We hope he is. He's played more games than any other player for the West Coast Eagles. First to get to 200. Still the only one, though. Chris Lewis and John Worsfold are closing in. A couple of others not too far behind. Speaking of the captain, he's away with a left-hand handball with Djakovic under the hammer. So some untidy play at the back there. Look at Carey letting Worsfold know too. All about a captain to captain. There's an interesting article this morning, wasn't it, from a former West Coast selector saying that the time had come for Djakovic to be made captain of the Eagles. Nothing against Worsfold, but he felt the Djakovic time had come. It was food for thought. Half-back flank at the moment for West Coast. They're away through Braun, and Braun kicks the ball to centre wing.
And in that area, it's gathered by Ball. Back towards Gehrig. Always looks dangerous. North Melbourne player down behind play. Might be Carey. The ball is at full forward for the Eagles as we see Wayne Carey being attended to by 2 trainers. Peter Matera. He'll get an effective possession away. Out wide, and the mark is taken by Lewis as still Carey is looked at by the doctor. The football is with Philip Matera in the left forward pocket for the Eagles.
They've still gone wide, the West Coast Eagles. This is not a high percentage shot at goal. They had the opportunity when Peter Matera had the ball to go and square the ball up and to give themselves a better angle. They went out wide again, and it's just going to take a good kick here now to put a 6-pointer on the board.
Well, he is a pretty good kick, Philip Matera, and this is a magnificent shot for goal. Straight over the goal umpire's head, it is a goal. So no drama there. The Eagles get their 3rd on the scoreboard. They probably needed that bit of momentum at the start of the second term. They trailed North Melbourne by 6 points.
And up the field, prior to that goal being set up, Kemp got hold of the ball. He got away from Pike, and that's what they need to do. They need to get themselves a bit more space. We see Wayne Carey, he's hurt his shoulder on that occasion. Or he's in a bit of pain, is he? He has both shoulders strapped extremely heavily. And as we see there, he's just writhing in pain on the ground.
Might have been winded, I think. I'm not sure, but all the ribs. But he seems to be all right. He's at centre half forward again, and he's not far away from the action. They're a goal in front, North Melbourne. West Coast coming back, taken by Abraham. Abraham from 55 puts it right into the goal square. Scholl cleverly through from behind, rush through. 4-5 to 3-4.
Bruce, Guy McKenna just around quarter time ran up the room, so we can only speculate that he might have had a painkiller in his left groin. So hopefully for West Coast he can come back on.
Kick out wide to Morrison, who's had a quiet start. What a good year he had last year in his second season. Beautiful take by Ball, who is in good nick. Ball kicks back well inside 50. Lewis and Archer. Archer towards the line. He'll be happy to see it go out. And a boundary throw in about 50 metres from the goal. West Coast attacking, coming back at North Melbourne in the early stages of the second term. Norm Smith medalist Glenn Archer in their premiership year, just as Peter Matera and Dean Kemp were for the West Coast Eagles.
There's McKenna just doing a few stretching exercises on the boundary line as Pickett kicks the ball back towards the centre of the ground. Gee, that was good. If there's something wrong with him, well, it didn't look like it there. He kicks across the half-forward line. Awkward bouncing ball there for Scholl, but he gets back and kicks it out of mid-air and puts the pressure on Stone. Stone's kick goes back towards the wing. Oh, brilliant football. On the end of that was Matera, but the play was created by McIntosh, and Matera will get the ball to within scoring distance. A pretty ordinary kick by the Peter Matera standards. Will allow it to be mopped up by David King, and between the half-back and wing, down the ground, he's been flattened. So the kick will be taken, and David King lets his opponent know all about it.
He made sure the umpire saw it too, Robbo.
Yeah, that's not the time to show an aggression or show aggression when you're West Coast Eagles player, because Djakovic was going to take that mark downfield. And now North Melbourne have got themselves an opportunity to score another goal.
Well, Shannon Grant has just provided a little bit of a target there for Carey, a bit of space, and Carey, acknowledging that, has given Grant the chance to shoot for goal from about 35 to 40 metres out. Similar angle to Philip Matera's, but Shannon Grant being a left footer, perhaps not to his advantage, but again, a very good kick of the footy. 29 plays, 22, North Melbourne lead. Grant from 45. Good kick. Oh. It's a beautiful kick by Grant, a goal. Well, the skill level there was just 10 out of 10 by Shannon Grant.
Yes, it's going to be interesting, isn't it, over the years, just to evaluate that swap between North Melbourne and the Sydney Swans. The Swans have got Swass, North Melbourne have got Shannon Grant. You'd have to think that Shannon Grant's perhaps going to play a lot more football in years than Wayne Swass.
Didn't miss a game last year for the Swans. There's irony in that,
and he's only going to get better.
It's a shot from the Whitman's Lightship down on the Melbourne Cricket Ground on this beautiful autumn evening. 5-5-3-4. Now, are they going to recall that bounce? No, of course they wouldn't, John.
Centre square infringement.
I knew that, John. But they should. It's a pity.
Yes.
Turnbull to Matera. Matera's kick to half forward over Gehrig. One of the problems, I'll go back to that in a moment. Ball. Gehrig. Anderson's handball to Capuano in close. Mickey caught by Banfield, able to get it forward. Stevens off the ground, out very wide. Matera there, pushing forward. Anderson keeping up with him. Clever Matera in the end. Just going to go back. I think the biggest problem with the bounce is that if players can get injured, they get put in very poor positions by bad bounce, under the ball.
They can just be run over the top.
Absolutely.
A study was conducted, though, wasn't it? And I think they found that something like 75% of the bounces actually went straight up in the air, and were right.
Yeah, the acceptable standard is in fact 80%, so most blokes would average better than 80.
Bell to Djakovic, well played. He's going to get caught by Abraham. Abraham and Carey together going for it. Carey runs into his own man. They'll give Djakovic another look at it. Simpson's there, forced out of it by Morrison. Morrison pushes forward to Pike. Pike about 60 from home. Good kick, right back to the goal square. Scholl gets a run at it. Carey flung himself at it. Worsfold to mop up, and the captain's away.
Johnny Worsfold, there's a chance here for Heady. He's out in front of his opponent in Bell, and he's got a bit of time. Good running provided there by Stone. Stone's kick to half forward. Gehrig missed the mark. Martin went after it and took it over. So Mickey Martin being excused there. 35 plays 22. Gehrig remonstrating with the umpire. Russell Morris on the boundary line.
Yes, Robbo. Look, just a quick one. I went over to the North Melbourne huddle at quarter time, and Dennis Pagan was really surprisingly relaxed. Spoke to him before the match as well, and coming off that grand final win, I think he's got full confidence in his players. They're true professionals, and I think all he had to say to them at quarter time was basically they broke a couple of team rules, and I think they're back on track at the moment. So it's good to see Dennis quite relaxed at this stage of the year.
It's a long way to go, Russell. Martin's kick out of play. I was watching in Sydney last Saturday night at the Answer Cup final. It was a fantastic game, and the stress of both Stan and Dennis were under at various times, and I kept thinking, boy, we haven't really started, have we?
How many packets of chewing gum do you reckon Dennis Pagan will chew through before the end of the season?
I've got a stat on that. I'll let you know later. Pickett.
He's good, this bloke.
Oh, he's clever. It's a great kick. I thought he might have handball, but he was so good with his foot that he found Archer. Archer wide to Scott. Matera, good go at it. Scott running away, inboard, Pike to Archer. Will he use Pickett? Decided not to. Chips to Bell. Bell stood his ground, as you'd expect him to. Handball on, they're moving it quickly. King loves this situation, kicks right down the corridor to Shoal. That's North Melbourne to a T, isn't it?
And a perfect illustration about what we've talked about in the first quarter. They look like they were going back out of the corridor when they're coming out of defence, but their key objective is to get back into the central part of the ground, and that's where they stayed, and that's where they found the options. When you do bring the ball square in like that, then you've got options all over the place in your forward line. If you go wide, then you're just cutting your options off.
What a remarkable turnaround in this man's career. He's kicked, I think, 75 goals in the last 2 seasons after kicking 21 in seasons before that. He's been rejuvenated as a footballer. He's a good kick for goal. North are going well. He's kicked his second Shoal. You wouldn't have believed it 3 years ago if somebody had said to you that Craig Shoal would become a potent force on the forward line.
Well,
would you?
Well, I guess he had the attributes, though, didn't he, of a forward. He was a very mobile sort of player, had a good pair of hands. He played a lot of his early football out on a wing. They sent him to the back line. Mainly when Dennis Pagan arrived at North Melbourne, he saw him as a half-back, wanted to rejuvenate him as a player, teach him some defence, and now he's gone forward and become a better player.
So North Melbourne with the greatest margin so far in the game, 19 points. And they'll go forward again through Pike. Left foot kick, bounces awkwardly at half forward. Overrun there by Abraham and Johnny Worsfold. The ball comes back to Reid. Reid for the Eagles, straight down the ground, but gives it up. And well done, David King. He must have known that there was going to be someone coming charging down from the defence.
Danger time now for the West Coast Eagles. I think they've got to start shuffling some of their players around to get themselves back into this game, because the momentum is certainly with North Melbourne at the moment.
King's kick lands at half forward, gathered by McCartney. Hand pass really to no one in particular. Turnbull kicks it out wide, gathered by Stevens. His kick smothered off the boot there by Wooden. Well done. Gets a bit of a pat on the head from his teammate in Braun, and the boundary umpire will throw it in. 2 youngsters, Michael Braun and Josh Wooden, and
Vincent Floss, I think, Mickey Malthouse, doesn't he?
Certainly an interested onlooker there, because his team trails this game by 19 points, and more importantly, close to 12 minutes to half-time. They've only managed 3 goals, and it's always been a worry for them over the years. Peter Sumich was their last, well, goal kicker of any note. The North Melbourne coaching staff have, well, they've been reasonably pleased. But certainly some concerns for the Eagles as far as their goal-kicking power is concerned. Grant's little kick, well marked by Scott. He plays on quickly, just kicks an awkward, wobbling old footy toward half forward. It's mopped up back there. This is Morrison for the West Coast. A little left foot kick by Chad Morrison's all right, and it's taken by Heady. He in turn, oh gee whiz, you don't often see that, do you? Peter Matera just snapped away by Pickett and puts it with Shoal. Peter Matera can't believe it. Shoal's kick is very good, in towards half forward, nearly taken by Abraham, gathered by Freeborn, Bell on the end of it, tackled there by Morrison. It comes to Carey, and Carey has missed. What about that, Bruce? He is human after all.
He misses a few. He missed a few in the Ansett Cup final. He was probably just too careful with it, that one. McCartney bangs it back in to full forward. North have got numbers. Worsfold, good flight at the back, belts it away, out of play. Kept thinking of Freeborn in the grand final, that second quarter from that spot when he missed there. It's John Worsfold.
Still spring in those legs.
Yeah, good.
Gee, that was a good leap and punch.
One of the best and fairest of the club way back in 1988. That's going back. Kemp. Braun with it. Kicked the early goal in the match. Archer overran it. Back to Banfield. He also had a milestone along with Blakey tonight, and Schofield. It's his 100th Banfield. Kemp's kick under pressure. Not good. Out on the full. There's Turnbull. He's going to have a bit of eye trouble. Played every match last year, Ryan Turnbull, along with Chad Morrison and Simmons, who's not there in this opening match. Not out here tonight. King keeps it low. And good stretch there. Should be a free kick to West Coast.
He's actually paid the mark, Bruce. It's interesting. Every time David King gets the ball, he kicks it long and low, and he's obviously trying to get the ball moving very quickly through the air.
So Stone to Peter Matera. Matera to centre wing, wide to Gehrig. Gehrig marks it. A long way from home. Was good early. Missed 1 goal. In fact, he kicked 1-2 in the opening term. Little chip pass. It's okay to Schofield. Schofield normally a playmaker, and they do need something, West Coast. They need some zip in midfield to break a line or two and create an opportunity. Big fly ball in the back. Blakey away, gets it to Stevens. Stevens controls it beautifully to Martin.
Mickey from left half back, kicks it high out towards the wing. A good mark taken by Archer. Just got Stone out of the contest and then straightforwardly took the mark on his chest. Kick close to the line. Carey still keeps the ball in. Then perhaps a too emphatic hand pass there. Kick off the ground, goes back towards Heady. Heady for the West Coast, approaches half forward, kicks to the positive 50-metre. Philip Matera, well done by Ball, out to Lewis. Looks a little out of sorts, does Chris Lewis. Here's a chance. Strong play by Groom. Gardner, still Groom. Philip Matera, now Gardner. Gardner's handball. Morrison around and kicks the goal. Well, some really good persistence provided there by the West Coast. It wasn't really tidy, but it was efficient, and Michael Gardner was prominent.
And that's how you have to work your way back into a game. Just watch Philip Matera here. He got the ball out of Groom's hand the first time. The second effort got back in underneath the ball. Wasn't able to get the possession, but it just bubbled free again. And that set up the opportunity there for Gardner to get the ball across to Morrison. And that's just what the West Coast Eagles need. They just need to outwork North Melbourne.
Well, a terrific look there at Michael Gardner, just doing all the work that the coaches ask of players, second efforts and keeping on going. Philip Matera having a spell on the bench. It was Chad Morrison that kicked the goal. Now that bounce really favoured North Melbourne, and it belted towards their centre-half forward area, put them under pressure. Stone gets the ball out into the path of Reid. Reid from left half-back, looking maybe to pass it off, then's forced to kick long. Gehrig, still Gehrig, handball away, in goes Cousins. Good finisher.
That's better.
Good kick, good goal. They were never really out of this game, but by gee, they've showed some persistence in the last few minutes. They trail now by 8 points to the West Coast. North Melbourne 43, West Coast 35.
They were looking a little bit shaky, the West Coast Eagles, though. North Melbourne were just taking the ball far too easily into their own forward line. The last couple of minutes, the West Coast Eagles have just found themselves a bit of pace. If they can get Cousins around the ball, on that occasion he got around the ball, and just terrific bit of play. And the West Coast Eagles need more spark from players like that if they're to really trouble North Melbourne in the second half of this game.
So Morrison and Cousins have kicked a couple in a couple of minutes. Two of the young stars for West Coast.
Well, Mickey Malthouse took Cousins off the ground, Bruce, just to give him a bit of a breather, just to shake the pressure that was being applied by North Melbourne. Had a bit of a breather. No doubt he would have had a word in his ear too via the telephone, and he sent him back out there and he's done the job. As we see Guy McKenna, who's also back on the ground now. Let's just hope that he's 100% fit.
Hewitt tried to push forward, built it forward by Anderson. Heady got it from McKenna, out wide, looking good West Coast. Stone belts the handball forward to Schofield, who runs away and kicks to full forward. Lewis bounced off it, should have taken it. Kent looks for a free kick. Lewis goes off the ground. Is it Stevens underneath that? West Coast looking for a free kick. Back turn by Braun. Braun under pressure. High tackle on him, not paid. On the bottom of the pack, Scott. Going to be a bounce out 50 metres from goal.
They've got to score goals now because they do have North Melbourne on the back foot now. They're starting to attack the corridor and they're getting the ball into their own forward line quickly. It's not going to be clean. It's not going to be pretty football. They're going to have to work hard to get their goals.
Groom over the back. Banfield's kicked the full forward. Martin did well. Bell controls it out wide to Anderson. Anderson at half back. So North lead 43 to 35. 6-7 to 5-5. Opening game of the Coca-Cola Premiership season. The two favourites for the flag clashing here at the MCG. Archer bustled it forward. Grant's handball was terrific to Bell. Bell's kicked the show. Got him. That's the mark Lewis should have taken at the other end of the ground.
What brilliant play then by Archer though, Bruce.
Yeah, bustled it forward.
That won't show anywhere up on the statistics, but that was as good as a kick forward on that occasion by Archer. Just dived at the ball. What's this? Just bang. That went about 35 metres to a North Melbourne player. Quick hands by Grant. That was terrific play then. And you're quite right though, up the other end of the ground, Lewis had the opportunity to do exactly the same from straight in front of goal.
Well, he's a good kick for goal, this fellow. He's kicked a couple tonight. Angle's tight. He's kicked it pretty well. He's happy. 3 goals to show. North get the one back, but that's the one that'll probably sting West Coast the most.
You've got to take your chances in this game of football. You don't get that many opportunities to take a chest mark in your own forward line, and that ball really should have been taken up the other end of the ground by Chris Lewis. We see the very efficient North Melbourne side moving the ball back in their own half, and then some good finishing tonight too by their forwards from set shots, and that's what really hurts a side.
So after West Coast kicked their 4th and 5th goals, it's been answered there by the 7th goal to North Melbourne, the 3rd to Craig Scholl. Brett Heady well run down by Freeborn. That was a tackle and a half, wasn't it? And he got the ball back. Anderson just a little fumble. In goes Scott, taken away by McKenna. Now what's that? A little too high.
High tackle was the signal given.
Against Matera, and goes to Scott. Scott into the centre, marked by Carey. 49 plays 35. Carey's got Pickett on his own. Can run down the ground. Could have given the hand pass away. Went back onto his left. Kicked it in towards centre half forward. At the back, nearly gathered by Bell. Provides the tackle on the forward line. Good stuff. Freeborn in there too. In goes Braun and Bell. Grant can't get it out. Banfield can and gets it to Jakovic. Jakovic, the little kick, is marked by Cousins. Anyone to go to? No. He's got to give it back to Bull. He's been dumped by Pickett. Now that was not in the rules of the game.
No, he certainly can't get rid of a bloke in that fashion after he's got rid of the ball.
And Peter Matera didn't like it either, but Cousins is all right after that clash with Pickett, and he kicks towards full forward. Turnbull tries to keep it there. Kick off the ground, gathered by Blakey. Out wide he goes to King, and away go the Kangaroos.
Trying to run him down, Gehrig. King turned him inside out. Kick to centre wing. Diving attempt by McCartney. The tempo's lifted, hasn't it, again here? Stevens under pressure. There's a bit going on in this match at the moment.
Free kick paid at centre half forward against Johnny Worsfold, Bruce.
Going to Winston Abraham. There's been a bit of niggle.
That was about 150 metres away from the ball, so I can't tell you what it was.
Come on. That's what we're paying for you.
The peripheral vision wasn't quite that good.
Russell's down. Russell, have you been seeing anything going on down there? Did you spot
Bruce,
that?
look, I'm just watching Byron Pickett at the moment. He's looking at his right ankle, but that wasn't a bad move from him, because taking Cousins out of the play stopped him from running on as Abraham instead in front. Bruce puts another one through.
I think Johnny's going to hear about it too. Well, that really belts you in the back, doesn't it? When you get a free kick down the ground, and the best finisher, or one of the best finishers in the game, drills it through.
We're going to have to coordinate ourselves a little bit better though, Robbo. I want you to take that 1/3 of the ground. Bruce, you can take the centre and I'll take that end of the ground. I don't know what that free kick was for. Obviously there was something off the ball. Worsfold has given some very close attention to Abraham, probably just holding on to him on that occasion.
Well, I think young Winston there has probably said, just be a little bit more careful, John, for the rest of the game. That was too easy a goal that I kicked there. Peter Matera from half-back, nearly run down by Anderson, got the handball away to Braun, in a bit of strife, but wider still was McKenna. He's got some space, he can get around and then kick back towards the centre of the ground where he has found Dean Kemp. Kemp has had 10 possessions, but he's been fairly quiet by Dean Kemp's standards so far in this game. Martin over the top of Gehrig, gathered by Braun. Braun to McIntosh. Got rid of his opponent, kept the ball in, and then it's taken through by David King, which in the finish was a good result for the Kangaroos.
Terrific play on both accounts, wasn't it? Stevens just got McIntosh's body where he wanted him, just to get him off the line of the ball. McIntosh following up and almost creating another scoring opportunity by tapping the ball back into play.
Good mark by Blakey, in trouble. Lewis has got him. Cousins, well, the advantage given. Now it's going to come back. Well, that's tough for West Coast. The flow of play did not stop at all there. Lewis had won the free kick. Cousins had it, banged it to full forward. They should have a goal.
I actually think Ben Cousins looked at the umpire to see if it was their free kick, Bruce, and had the presence of mind to say, well, no, I'd prefer to go rather than stop here, and elected to kick the ball into the goal square, and Brett Heady finished it off. But unfortunately, the umpire elected not to call play to advantage and cancel that free kick.
Why doesn't he do?
Well, normally if it's continuous as you've called it, then he would allow it to continue. But sometimes the only thing I can think of is that, you know, they just pull the wrong rein, and if the peripheral vision doesn't take in the fact that Ben Cousins is clear and Ben Cousins has elected to kick the ball into the goal square, and then doesn't take in the fact that Brett Heady's in the goal square finishing it off, if he doesn't take all of that information in, then he may not have the presence of mind to call play under advantage. So to be fair, there is a lot to take in before he can elect to call play on, because if the point had been kicked, we all would have said bring it back and don't call play under advantage.
I would have thought he would have waited until he saw the result of the kick from Cousins before he actually made up his decision whether to bring the ball back or not.
Yeah, that would be if he was cool, calm and composed. Maybe that wasn't the case.
Well, Lewis has tried a torpedo. It didn't work.
Oh!
On the mark! A super fly at the back by Bull. That was a fantastic mark. Looked out of position, didn't he? And he put his long arms out.
Oh, he was like the Rialta Tower coming over the top there. But that's what I was saying before about where you take your marks. If you take your big marks or you take your marks around the ground as a forward, then you're not as effective. If he can keep taking marks inside the 50, then he's going to be lining up for a shot at goal every time. Lewis off the ground, by the way. It's a good tackle by Lewis. Ball has kicked the goal. It's a good game, this. Yeah. Big game. It has the normal ebbs and flows of a very tight contest. The West Coast Eagles coming back at North Melbourne again. But they just really need to find themselves marking forward the West Coast Eagles. And I reckon that's probably their best bet if they can get a mismatch there with Ball and also McCartney. See again, that really is a terrific mark over the top there by Jason Ball. And when you take them and you're only that far out from goal, they're effective too.
Well, there's Chris Lewis having a bit of a spell on the bench, and Bruce, you mentioned it was a good tackle which created the chance for Cousins, who kicked the ball to Heady, but it went back and eventually they got a goal with great mark taken by Jason Ball. They've got the ball to half forward again. Can Matera find some magic here? He gathers and then kicks across his left shoulder towards full forward. Dispossessed was Groom. Get your left foot to it, Ryan. He can't quite, and it's over for a rush behind of the Eagles. Goal umpire has taken control of that situation, helped out by the field umpire Mark McKenzie, I think it was, down there, and you can see here that it has gone over.
Once the goal umpire taps like that, the field umpire will come in and give him an all clear, so play stops. Getting some great shots from the goals, aren't we? It's good spot. Terrific angles.
Is it the same guy down there, Bruce, or did they swap at quarter time? He's been under a lot, hasn't he?
Do you mean the cameraman or the goal umpire?
He's been terrific down there.
The goal umpire stayed the same in for the half.
Schofield to Ball. Ball has been very prominent. Heady, can he kick a goal? Heady, can he kick a goal? He can. So the West Coast are within one kick now of North Melbourne. North Melbourne led by 22 points at one stage. In this quarter, it's back to a 1 goal of difference.
And they're showing some real character to the West Coast Eagles. They just keep coming at North Melbourne. I reckon their best bets at scoring are in a situation where they're kicking out of behind, because they've got the North Melbourne defenders spread all over the place. You win back the ball, you get a turnover, you've got space, you've got players on their own. Their other best opportunity is out of the centre square here, because then they go forward with one-on-one contests, and most of the time the West Coast Eagles, out of a centre square situation like this, will bomb the ball into their corridor, into the central part of their forward line.
Gardner and Hewitt together, two young guns. So West Coast close in, don't they, late in this second term?
That's a good example, Bruce. You notice then the ball wasn't in fact trapped, but the umpire elected to bounce the footy. The ball should be trapped before the bounce is called for.
And there's a replay of that incident.
Yeah, the ball's moving. He still hasn't called for a ball up. Called for then.
Braun tried to push forward. Rock now on the end of it. Handball back good to Freeborn. Steadies himself up. Tries to get as much distance as possible to the pocket. Archer did really well there and kicks a beauty. What an effort. Fantastic. He is the competitor's competitor, isn't he?
Well, I hope every kid around Australia is watching tonight, because that is just a great example of what you can do when you're in the disadvantaged position in this game of Australian rules football. Was never going to mark that ball. He just created the contest, perhaps a lucky break when the ball fell to the ground, but he's just superb, wasn't it?
I tell you what, the program manager at Channel 7 also hopes that every kid around Australia is watching tonight. It means the ratings are going to be good, aren't they?
Every kid that loves Australian rules football, I hope they watch that.
2 goals now, the margin for North Melbourne with just over a minute left in the first half. It has been a very good contest so far. The Eagles have got a chance here to go forward once again. Heady combining with Braun. Braun's done pretty well as a young player, playing in the centre on an experienced player in Anthony Stevens. Kicked back by Martin, got good distance. Shocking wobbly old punt kick. Archer tries to make something of it. Heady back to Braun again. Braun quickly, high in the air. Stand under this and be fair. The ball spills, overrun by Schofield, taken by Blakey, out wide to Bell, 61 plays 49, and that might be the score at half-time. That's a good mark taken there by Ashley McIntosh between full-back and centre-half-back for the West Coast Eagles. He kicks it out wide. Worsfold has made good position. His kick, well, I think he'd be hoping that this goes out. Back goes Capuano. He is nearly taken into the northern stand by Jay Worsfold. Tony Evans back there. Kicks it in front of Heady. Well done by Heady to the advantage of Gardner. Then to Kemp. Back onto his right. Forced to kick with his left. Kicks close to the 50-metre line. It spills. The crumbs are taken by the Eagles. Banfield, they really were a chance to score there, but the seconds ran out and the siren sounds to end the second term. At half-time, North Melbourne have a 12-point advantage. They're 9-7. West Coast are 7-7.
(9-7 to 7-7) as we start the second half of Friday night football at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. North leading. They're favourites for the flag at the start of the year and the second favourites of their opponents tonight, West Coast. 3 of the last 6 premierships have been won by these clubs. 25 players in this match tonight have been premiership players. Philip Matera there and Chris Lewis. Josh Wooden.
Not a lot of flexibility on that bench.
All about the same size.
Yes.
And Wooden may be injured, which is... So they're going very tall here, West Coast. In the second half, they made inroads into North in the second term for a bit, but North did finish up. Well done by McKenna. That was clever to Morrison, who belts it back to centre half forward. At the back was Ball to Evans. Evans caught, gets a handball slowly away to Kemp. Kemp's handball terrific. Heady was good in the first half. He's a beautiful finisher. He's missed. Behind, he's disappointed.
And Fraser Gehrig is just remonstrating with him at the moment, saying, listen, I was out here on my own. The handball should have gone across there. And Brett Heady probably should have given across to Fraser Gehrig. Heady was running in on his left foot. He's not a natural left footer. Fraser Gehrig was also running in on his left foot, but he is a natural left footer and a pretty good finisher from that distance.
First goal handy here because 3 goals to North's a good break. West Coast can get right back within 6 points. Evans after Banfield. Worsfold. The handball to Schofield. Schofield's high ball back to 50. Cousins out of position. Archer.
Very good hands again by Glenn Archer. One grab mark. Wasn't under a great deal of pressure, but did it quite nicely to Blakey. Across the full back line, trying to create a loose man. Mickey Martin has the football. Now he bombs away out towards the wing. Terrific leap. That's a mark, isn't it? What a great leap and mark by young Welsh. Terrific performance. Only just come onto the ground. He's 19 years of age. Scott Welsh from West Adelaide.
You'd be happy with that first touch for the night.
Oh, let's have a look at what he's got to provide for us in the next few weeks or even few minutes. The ball towards full forward for North, and it rebounds off the foot. And the mark is taken and paid by Bell to Peter Bell. Scott tackled. Groom, a snapshot by Groom. Looks pretty good. He's got a goal for North Melbourne. Chris Groom kicks his first goal, and the lead stretches out to 17 points.
He's playing a bit of the Johnny Longmire role tonight that Longmire has in the last year or so. A bit everywhere, Groom.
Yeah, I suppose he's tall enough to play as a key defender. He's tall enough to play as a key forward, and just standing up in the tackle on that occasion. And after that, Peter Matera also having a chat with the umpire, not happy.
So the first goal of the second half to North Melbourne. Banfield takes the ball away from the centre bounce. Kicks to half forward. Gehrig misses it. Tapped into the path of Cousins. It's spectacular footy here at the G. Cousins has got a goal for the Eagles.
That's a perfect answer.
Well, this little deft touch by his teammate, I didn't quite pick it up, but I'm sure we'll see it on the replay. Cousins would certainly thank his teammate for this goal.
No doubt about that. And once again, the advantage of getting the ball out of the centre square quickly after a bounce, you just put pressure immediately on the opposition defence, and you called it quite rightly there. That bit of play there was by Fraser Garrett, by Turnbull, sorry. Yeah. Terrific little bit of play there by Turnbull to Cousins, and the West Coast Eagles answering the challenge.
That's a good sign. Sorry, Tim, it's a good sign, isn't it? They're able to get that goal back in a hurry. Schofield gets it from Braun. Schofield's kick back to half forward. Ball stands his ground. At the back was McCartney. Cousins has kicked a couple. King quickly onto the boot. Out towards the centre square. Matera being besieged there. Bell will try and expose Worsfold for pace here. Worsfold holding up really well, Johnny Worsfold, and did a good job.
That was great play by Worsfold.
Oh, was it ever?
They had the numbers, North Melbourne. If Worsfold hadn't have been able to just tie that ball up, they're away, North Melbourne. They had 3-4 converging on 2.
Certainly a man of anxiety on Robert Scott's face. He was looking for the free kick, wasn't he?
Jakovic, high ball, so that's his fourth kick only. Heady's been good. He has been very good. And kicks the half forward to ball.
That's
couldn't quite mark, but he's going to get a free kick against McCartney. And ball's within distance here. And the West Coast Eagles are going very well. If this was a horse race right now, you'd reckon they're sitting on North and they're going just as well as the favourites.
One out, one back.
That's it, not in the death.
Just grabbed hold of his arm. You're not allowed to do that. You cannot interfere with the player going for the ball.
Certainly took him out of the contest, Tim, and that's the criteria.
It's kick one. Now this is from about 48.
We'll kick this, Bruce.
Well, he hasn't, Robbo. It's a poor effort. Gehrig up high. Martin, well done to Pike.
Pike away from the full back line. The hand pass is to Capuano. Capuano out towards the wing. Carey early, which he's so used to doing. Back to Pike. Pike one way, then with the left foot. Very good kick. Stevens not having to change stride. Oh, terrific running and chase there by Johnny Worsfold. Great leader he is. Kemp, McIntosh, Worsfold. Whoa, got out of the road. And it was Glenn Freeborn, I think. Worsfold let the umpire know all about it.
Be interesting to see whether in fact there was contact then, Robbo, because as you called, he got out of the way. I wonder whether he did or not.
Schofield drops the kick, then tries to get past. Hand pass or put his teammate under a bit of pressure there, but young Braun did very well, and he gets it back from ball. Braun to centre half forward. Good kick, excellent kick, because it's out in front of the big man, which makes it very difficult for the man at the back. Couldn't reach over the top was Michael Martin of Ryan Turnbull. The big West Coast Eagles forward will shoot from about 50 metres out.
You just have the feeling that the West Coast...
I would say that there was contact.
Yes, I'd plead insanity.
Good mark, good kick, and Johnny Worsfold's got a very strong jaw. There's no doubt about that, because he copped it. He's a tough man, isn't he?
He copped it, and the other fella cocked it.
This is Turnbull going for the Eagles' 9th goal. It looks pretty good from here. Camera shot from behind the goal signals it is a goal. Ryan Turnbull kicks his first goal, and the Eagles get their 9th. There is just 5 points in this game.
We talk about the ebbs and flows in a game of football when you have two evenly matched sides playing against one another, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. The West Coast Eagles just to appear to have come out of the blocks a little bit sharper than what North Melbourne have after half-time. And that's when you need to score. When everything's flowing your way, that's when you need to put the 6-pointers on board.
Bell. Little kick didn't go far. Morrison's had a good start to this term. Was collected pretty hard after he kicks. This is Braun, who's been quite impressive in patches. Kicks to fall forward. Heady waits. Turnbull and Martin at the back. Heady scouting. Still Heady. Well done, Archer, to build it in front. But beautifully played by Cousins to take Archer's running. Goes back. Braun's kick around the body. Heady's in the box seat. He's got it. That was guts. He kept his eye on the footy, under the hammer, and the kick forward by Braun was a terrific effort by a kid who's just 20. Tell you something about Braun too, if you like, Robbo. He's got the same birth date as Glenn Archer and Glenn Jakovich, but he's not the same age. Work that one out.
Well, I tell you what, for a
He
boy
was born
20,
later. Thank you, Bruce.
he's got a fantastic brain, that young Michael Braun. He's played a good game tonight.
Well, heading to finish, you couldn't think of a better finisher over the years for West Coast from this position. This to put them in front for the first time in a whole long time. I mean, it would be sometime in the first quarter since the first term, early days of this match, and Heady has put them in the lead.
Bruce, you are asking that question. They kicked the first point of the game, and that was when they were in front.
Boy, a long time ago. They've gone for one out, one back. They've hit the front.
They have hit the front, and we've seen North Melbourne come back on many occasions in the Ansett Cup series, and they'll come back again. But on this occasion, we just see that bump there, handed out by Winston Abraham. He's a very, very physical player, but just look at that, how he's on the ball.
Well, a great shot there of two incidents. Firstly, the bump by Abraham on Morrison, but secondly, how to keep your eyes right on the footy knowing that you're going to be confronted, and that was Brett Heady. And he's instrumental in getting the ball clear again to Morrison, who gives it away to Matera. Matera's kick towards full forward. Oh, that could have been a free kick on Martin, dragging Turnbull to the ground. Not forthcoming. Away goes King. King out wide, and a terrific mark taken by Matera. They certainly have some sort of a sniff here, do the Eagles. Matera to pump them back to within scoring distance. Kicks it into the pocket. Gardner going back, couldn't take the mark. Bell gathers, under pressure. Scholl now across the full back line. Helping out is Martin. Martin goes straight down the ground. Marking contest from behind. The big punch provided by Jakovich. The gatherers by McKenna. Brilliant vision. Gets it to Jakovich. Out wide there's a player on his own is Heady. Heady can go down the line. Here's McIntosh. Doesn't mind this situation. Ashley McIntosh delivers to the square. One-on-one at the back. Good mark to ball. Just turned McCartney inside out, and he's marked only metres out and should convert and get another goal for the Eagles.
Well, the West Coast Eagles are just dominating all over the ground at the moment. Their midfielders are on top, their defence is on top. They're getting very hard to pass across that half-back line. And on that occasion, when the ball was turned over, all the North players were on the inside of the ground, and they had plenty of space on the outside, and that's how they worked the ball forward.
Jill never got the chance to tip Bruce. Of course, said he was going to kick that one. Jason Ball kicked his second goal for the night, and the Eagles lead by 8 points.
Kick the last four, the Eagles. Kick the last four. It's 10-7.
They've got the Roos on the back foot now, haven't they?
No doubt.
Now it'll be back to Dennis Pagan in the coaching box across the other side of the ground. He'll be looking at how he can shuffle his players to get back into this game, just to win the momentum back. He has to make a couple of changes now to get Nicky Malthouse back on the back foot.
It's a good mark by Ball. Great slow-mo shot. They kicked the last four goals, the Eagles. They've charged to the front here. McIntosh building it in. So West Coast challenging very strongly, and now North Melbourne under the hammer. Bell out of the centre square to centre half forward. Big fly was by Stone. Now Anderson held up Jakovich. Jakovich comes away. Carey's going to have to lift here for North to win. Braun, who Robbo's been singing his praises, kicks inside 50. Ball's having a terrific game on McCartney. North under the hammer. Martin challenged by Little Cousins. Mickey runs it to the line. He wants it to go out. So does Blakey, and it does. Boundary throw in. 67-75.
It's your best friend, that boundary line, when you're under pressure.
Do you think if they'd have played with this sort of intensity, they might have been competitive in their second Ansett Cup game, the Eagles?
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Ball to Matera. Matera works it back to McKenna. McKenna, torpedo punt, long, wide, and not very handsome out on the fall. He went for distance then. He was cramped up, McKenna, and I think he probably took the punt that he built it forward as far as he possibly could.
75 plays 67, and the Eagles with Brett Heady, Ben Cousins and Jason Ball, 2 goals each. North Melbourne 2 goals to Grant and 3 goals to Shoal. This is Archer. Well, that ball must have gone out on the full. I thought it looked as though it might have been touched just inside the line, but Archer took the free kick, kicked it back towards half-back, where it's knocked over for another throw-in.
Robbo, if we look at the bench at the moment, North Melbourne have only got 3 fit players. They've got Hewitt, Groom and Freeborn, whilst West Coast have got 3 fit players. Wooden's injured, Philip Matera, Chris Lewis and Phil Reid. So North End are under a bit of pressure.
Well, there's 9 minutes left in this quarter before they can get any respite. And Shannon Grant kicks the ball back in towards the centre of the ground, punched away. McIntosh gathers, runs away from his opponent in Scott, kicks the ball towards full forward. Martin in front, this time of Turnbull, tries to crash his way through, gets it back to King. Lots of pressure being applied by those West Coast forwards when the ball goes down to make sure that the North Melbourne defence don't come out cleanly.
And North Melbourne concerned about the influence that Ball is exerting on this game. They've sent Wayne Carey down to pick him up in defence, and McCartney's gone to centre half forward.
It's an interesting move, isn't it, when North need goals, but Carey might be able to launch them from centre half back. Stevens has kicked back into the centre, a bouncing ball, good take by this young star in Gardner. He belts it back, not a good kick. Martin tried a half on, he's got to keep his eye on it, collected by Kemp cleverly to Cousins. Cousins back, McKenna, now Turnbull, or Schofield to Turnbull. Turnbull's kicked the goal, no he hasn't.
Martin's in trouble in the hands of the trainers after that heavy clash with Kemp.
There's not much of Kemp, but he delivers some of the best bumps in the competition. Have a look at that. He's got Mickey Martin pretty high on that occasion. Mickey, a long time getting up from the ground. Eyes on the ball, bit of a fumble. You make a mistake when your head's down like that. You really are putting yourself under some pressure, though, aren't you? You don't grab the ball the first time.
It was coming too.
So Anderson gets it in short. 10-7, 11-10. North need a goal before three-quarter time.
Yeah, it's just a little lull in scoring here between the two combatants, North Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles. It's already been mentioned that they are the favourite and the second favourite in betting terms for the 1998 Premiership. Well, I think if you're betting at this early stage, you really got plenty of money and not a lot of common sense, because plenty of things can happen over the year with injuries. Gardner. Well, the tall blokes never get any shorter, and I'm sure he's going to be a very, very key player in the West Coast Eagles team for this season. And so is this young fella, Braun again. He has played some sort of a game, Michael Braun. Towards centre half forward, Gehrig tries to provide the contest, punched away by Archer, gathered by Cousins. That ball handling was just magnificent. His kick across his body, into the pocket, Turnbull and Martin. Through comes Archer to give the key defender some support. Well tackled from behind by Kemp. And is that out on the full? Very good perception by Dean Kemp. Immediately it happened, he appealed for a catch behind. In short, Heady. Oh, terrific. Locks a fortune, but it was great play by Heady, a goal to Gehrig.
He meant that.
Well, that's their biggest margin, isn't it? 15 points in favour of the Eagles.
It's getting very interesting at the moment because the West Coast Eagles are playing all over. Just watch that again. That terrific tackle there by Kemp. Now just watch this. The ball hits the sole of Archer's boot, goes over bounce on the full, and I choose to think that he meant that.
Gehrig's got his second, so the sole of Archer's boot took the ball over the line, and then Heady cleverly soccering it on to Gehrig. They've kicked the last 5, the Eagles. They're playing great football here against North Melbourne. They've got them on the ropes all of a sudden. 15 points in front. A huge margin. Braun again involved, having a huge third quarter. Abraham at centre half back. Out wide to Blake in his 250th. Had a quiet one. Comes away. Can run. Takes a bounce and then belts it to full forward. They need a big mark, North Melbourne. Front spot the Eagles, not paid. Worsfold, good effort to Jakovic. How many times over the years have we said Worsfold and Jakovic in defence? Jakovic wide, Heady's having a bottler and running towards the line. And was that out on the floor? I think his foot was over the line when it went out. Boundary throw in.
It's interesting, isn't it? When North Melbourne were going forward in the first half, they had the West Coast Eagles outnumbered at the fall of the ball, but in this quarter we've seen the West Coast Eagles getting back there in numbers and just clearing the ball out of the North Melbourne forward line, and that's where they've been setting up their attacking opportunities.
Free ball on for Rock. Abraham to centre half forward. The kick over the back. Here's an opportunity. Welsh after it. Can he kick his first goal? He's blown it away from behind.
Cousins is having a spell on the bench for the Eagles too, Bruce. I just noticed a few seconds ago.
He did that, Mickey, early in the match, probably for another reason, but then he came straight back on and kicked a goal, didn't he?
McIntosh short to Matera. They really need a goal, do the Kangaroos. It's been a long time between drinks as far as they're concerned. Capuano, well, oh gee, there's a couple of ordinary pieces of play there. North may still get a chance. And has the umpire found a free kick? I think he has.
Yeah, it's a worry when there's no signal given, Robbo, and in that case, Brian Sheen just blew his whistle and held his arm out. I'd certainly much prefer to see a signal.
Morrison out wide to Jakovic, in turn to Gardner. Gardner starting to have an impact. Just a slightly awkward kicking style, but got pretty good distance, and a terrific mark taken by Archer. Just continues to stand up, does Glenn Archer. Carey looking for it. Welsh had his eyes written on that, and he's taken the mark pretty close to the centre of the ground. He's about 10 metres into his forward half, and another good leap. He looks a likely type. He's only 20 years of age, and there's plenty of football left there.
Excellent kick.
Scholl is marked. Well, the pressure's on Craig Scholl. He's kicked 3. He must kick this.
It's a long, long lead. Scholl took off from the top of the 10-metre square for that lead, and he is a player who can kick goals from beyond 50.
Going for his 4th goal. Leans back and delivers beautifully for the Kangaroos. 4 goals to Scholl.
It's a measure of their quality, Jim, that they do make the most of their opportunities. Now suddenly they're back in the match, aren't they? A long, long goal had to be kicked, and he did it.
Well, they've been outplayed this quarter, there's no doubt about that, but it's just the efficiency with which they use the ball when they do go forward. And this is a terrific kick here by the young fella to Scholl. And he's been the most productive forward for North Melbourne tonight.
4 goals to Scholl. North get a very important one after the Eagles have kicked the last 5 goals of the match. Back to Bell. A late goal here would really close it up at three-quarter time. Worsfold underneath takes the mark. Carey back in the forward zone. Worsfold away. Kicks the ball out wide to centre wing. Finds Philip Matera. Started this half on the bench. Hasn't had a whole lot of on-field time. Ball's been good. McCartney's back on him as Dennis Pagan plugged the gap for 5 or 10 minutes with Carey, and then whips back McCartney and puts Carey back into the forward position.
Interesting, he did that in the Ansett Cup Grand Final too. Swung Carey onto the ball for about 5 minutes. He started to get back into the play, and North Melbourne got a bit of a run on when they were 34 points behind.
Speak of run on, King after Simpson did it beautifully. King's kick is good. Welsh, gee, can take a grab. He's got the man short. He goes to Hewitt in the pocket. Took a long time to kick it. McIntosh gets hold of it after Banfield did the big job. McIntosh wide. Abraham and Worsfold, not the first time they've been together tonight. Boundary throw in. Big play that. Very big play for the Eagles. Missed opportunity for North. Welsh reminds me a bit of Simons from when I first saw him from Essendon, the way he can just jump up.
Got terrific spring in his legs.
They've had a lot of the football in this third quarter, the Eagles. 50 kicks to 40, 29 handballs to 9, 20 marks to 14, 11 tackles to 5, 16 times inside 50 to 11. Carey with the football, over his shoulder, bounces just offline. So very much the Eagles' third term.
The momentum's just started to shift back again.
Little bit, yep. Well, it is a great contest, there's no doubt there. And we came here tonight expecting just that. Question marks probably were going to be asked, can North Melbourne fire up after their grand final win the other night in the Ansett Cup? They're doing a pretty good job. Pike to half forward. And Scholl again. Well, he's doing a great job, Craig Scholl. The captain's having a reasonably quiet night, but Scholl is certainly firing up for the Kangaroos across that forward line. Pretty good kick too by Martin Pike. 12 possessions to that player. Scholl coming up for his 11th kick, going for his 5th goal. Gee, that's a lovely long kick. Just offline on this occasion though, and through for his 2nd behind. 4 goals to Craig Scholl.
The later it gets in a quarter, the harder it is to kick long goals too, as we see that wonderful shot there of the MCG at night.
Crowd roaring. The crowd has built up throughout the night. It's pretty healthy. Out to half-back. Simpson, quick kick. Wobbles it inside 50. Matera belts it away. Oh, beautiful take. Fantastic play by Morrison. They could go really hurt on the counter-attack. You can see the injury to Shannon Grant there. Morrison, beautiful kick to Matera. That's counter-attacking, isn't it? As you can see Shannon Grant in the top left-hand corner. But what an effort by West Coast at the back. And the Morrison taking the run. There's Shannon Grant who's, have a look here. That's Evans, hard. Grant going down. And coming off the worst. He's just got to compose himself, Grant, and work it off. Now, Philip Matera's kicked 1 goal. That's what I mean, if you want to be a bit blasé or cliche, this is what he gets paid to do, isn't it? Kick goals. He's done it. He's probably never going to get 25 possessions in a game, but he could kick 5.
Yeah, he can be damaging. There's no doubt about that. He's a very pacey forward. And that's quite right. He is in the side to kick goals. And when he gets a shot like that, he really does need to bang it through. But it was just brilliant the way they brought the ball forward on that occasion. They had North Melbourne offside. They'd moved after the zone. They moved up the ground to North Melbourne away from their opponents. They had to get back quickly in numbers. They weren't able to because the West Coast Eagles went straight up the middle.
Well, Shannon Grant, we believe, nearly came off the ground, but he's still there. There's only a few minutes left in this 3rd term, and there's been a 4-goal turnaround so far. North led by 2 goals at half-time. The Eagles lead by 2 at this present time. Archer under a bit of pressure here. Cousins. And here is Braun once again. Kemp. Just a little sloppy. Cousins run down by Stevens. Back to Heady. Turns and spots. Doesn't quite kick as well as he could have. Hewitt missed the mark. Anderson quickly onto it. Kicks it out wide, close to the wing. The players' interchange area. Down here in front of the commentary box, it goes over for a boundary throw-in. So the spectators have certainly been fed some terrific footy here tonight at the MCG, the opening game of the 1998 Coca-Cola season. Gardner and young Hewitt. Hewitt from the back. Cousins runs it down. Simpson, good tackle. Worsfold confronted there by Simpson. The ball is just in under there somewhere. The umpire will bounce.
This is really set up now for a fantastic last quarter of football. And we'll just be interested to see whether or not that grand final against the St Kilda side just 6 days ago has taken a lot out of this North Melbourne side, because they're going to have to fight it right out.
Hewitt gets a second go. Bell, little one off the ground. Cousins had his hands on it. Simpson with the ball. Matera with the smother, I should say. And the siren had sounded just before all of that. So as Robbo said, a 4-goal turnaround. 6-3 to 2-3 in that term for the West Coast Eagles. And at 3/4 time, they've got the edge over the Kangaroos. It's 13-10 to 11-10. It should be a terrific final turn on Friday night football at the MCG. 11-10 to 13 goals 10. First tap went from Gardner. Cousins has been very good in patches. Had held the ball for a while. Gardner, Blakey. Blakey did well to cut across there.
Did so.
Just held them up.
Did so very much.
250 games for John Blakey. Just thinking off the top of my head, Roos, Bradley, is there anyone else? Oh, Osborne. They're probably the only 3 that have played more than 250 that are still going. So I'm just trying to think aloud, but Gardner. It's hard, but I can't think of anyone with all the retirements we've had. Chrissy Langford's gone a few. I think Johnny Blakey's probably number 4 on the list of those that are playing at the moment. It's been a great career. Unsung a bit, isn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. He was a terrific pickup by North Melbourne. Very solid contributor at Fitzroy before he moved.
Stevens to Bell. Bell with a little one. Morrison had so many touches in the third quarter. In fact, we looked at the stats as it goes back to Matera. Belts it back into full forward, hoping through the hands of North Melbourne. Martin throws it out with that handball to McCartney, and McCartney belts it away. Morrison, Heady and Braun all had big third quarters for West Coast, and so did Djakovic. He had 6 kicks in that third quarter after only having 5 possessions in the first half. His handball's a beauty to Kent, and Kent sets up Banfield in his 100th.
And Banfield goes straight towards centre-half forward, looking for Heady. Over the top was Archer, gathered by Philip Matera. The bouncing ball goes into the pocket, just sits up in the finish nicely for Blakey. Blakey out wide, and the mark taken by Robert Scott. Scott is at right half-back, looks to get the ball moving quickly. In the direction of Grant, knocked to the front. Kick forward there by, was it Peter Bell? And gathered by Stone, combining with Cousins, and now Morrison. Morrison, they must get a goal here. It's about the 3rd time they've gone to the goal face. And it's been marked by a ball right in front, 12 metres out.
We talked about this, didn't we, early in the game, how this may be, in fact, the mismatch of the night in terms of the West Coast Eagles forward line against the defence of North Melbourne. And that occasion, ball out marking, just a superior strength and also superior height. And that was a good deep kick also for him to get back onto. But that's where he needs to take his marks, this fellow, deep in the forward line.
Well, you wouldn't say there was a great degree of difficulty here for Jason Ball. And he goes through the motions, gets the goal.
He looked like being a very important player in the game, didn't he? In 94 when they won the premiership, beginning in 95 when he was the leading goal kicker. Flattened out with a bit of injury and maybe loss of form, but looks promising here tonight.
I think also what has helped him is the change, the subtle change in the way the West Coast Eagles have played this game since probably about midway during the second quarter. They were going very wide. Now they are attacking the corridor. They're getting the ball into their forward line quickly, and that means that you have got opportunity.
It's going to be hard for North here. West Coast going well. Lead by 3. 14-10 to 11-10. Simpson, as he's done a few times, out of the centre to half forward. Shoal front spot. He's been the best forward for North by far. Belts it back right to the goal square. Freeborn and McKenna. Freeborn front spot. McIntosh and Carey. Carey goes to ground. Freeborn over the top. And it's going to be a throw in the pocket. Or would North want Carey to reproduce what he did last Saturday night at Waverley Park in the final turn? They do need something very big here from somebody, and you always look to Carey for that something. Let's see if he can. Djakovic belts it away. Abraham capable of kicking it. Left foot snap. Too far. Across. Disappointing. Really could have finished it off behind. So he's kicked 1-1 Abraham. McIntosh wide to Cousins. The Norwich Rising Star of a couple of years ago to Djakovic. All on his own. Confidently takes his man on and then kicks the ball to half forward. At the back was Philip Matera. Front spot, good mark. Djakovic's kick, not all that good. Philip Matera fell over, and I'm not sure if that had any bearing on the Djakovic kick. Blakey stood his ground and took the mark. So Blakey out to centre wing. Someone's got to do something for North here if they're going to get up. Braun has been terrific. Cousins. West Coast going well. Ball. Cousins. Kemp. Kemp normally a very good kick. Measures it. Archer belts it away. Turnbull plays the roving role. Belts the ball towards the boundary line. Back to Glenn Archer. Archer kicks the ball back to centre wing. Chance here for North Melbourne. Stevens, who I've hardly called for a quarter in a bit, kicks the ball back inside. Well, Djakovic and Scholl. Scholl did really well. Held his ground. Handball good. Stevens 60 metres out. Carey, they need him. Bouncing ball to goal. That's what they needed. A bit of luck, and they got it. It could be a turning point. 12-12 to 14-10. Where has he been, Stevens? I haven't called him for a while.
No, he's been missing for a while, Stevens, but you called it quite correctly. You do need some luck in this game. But Scholl just stood up here when his opponent, Glenn Jakovic, hit the deck. Had enough time and presence of mind to give the ball out to Stevens. And this wasn't a direct shot at goal. He was aiming the ball towards Wayne Carey. It was too good for him.
And we see the replay here, the sleepless slow-mo of the goal by Stevens, who had 10 kicks in the opening term and has still racked up 20, but he was so dominant in the opening quarter and it's been quiet since then. But big goal, big chance still for North.
Certainly was. Simpson gets the ball away from the centre, out in the area there of Abraham and Worsfold. Gee, he's an exciting player, isn't he, Winston Abraham? He kicks the ball across the full forward line. McIntosh and Carey. McIntosh quite happy to take it over for a boundary throw-in.
It's a poor kick in the end, though, by Winston Abraham, because the kick favoured McIntosh and not Carey. He just needed to give it a bit more air and not drill it as hard as what he did. As we see Peter Bell on the bench there.
Matera and Scott straight into it with McIntosh and Stone to help out, but the umpire will take control and bounce about 35 metres from the North Melbourne goal. So they are a chance to score here. They trail by 10 points. And they might... a kick not all that good there by Anthony Rock, and it bounces just inside the boundary line and over.
Isn't that a free
Stevens.
Kick? That has to be a free kick, doesn't it?
You reckon there was an instigator, Tim? It just appeared to me as though there was a tangle of bodies and one went to ground, so
I would have
you'll see it again.
I would have thought the kick's taken out of the contest.
But the only thing he's trying to do is get to the drop of the ball, which he's allowed to run through somebody between him and the footy. It's different if he deviates.
Stevens took his eyes off the ball, though. He had his eyes on Kemp.
Well, he did recover pretty well there, Dean Kemp. Maybe Shannon Grant perhaps could have let that go over. It's kicked down the line there by... it might have been Morrison that kicked that ball down the ground.
If somebody was between me and the footy, Tim, I'd have a look at him before I bump them for sure.
Bell, Groom, Capuano and Pickett sitting it out. At this stage, 12 3/4 minutes left. West Coast lead by 10 points. And, gee whiz.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you're allowed to do that too,
No,
but anyway.
no, you're not, Robbo. I mean, that was clearly in the back. But the point I was making with the first one is some people would, a West Coast Eagles supporter could easily have said that was a free kick, but a North supporter could have said he was being prevented to get to the ball.
Gardner tackled, good effort. Stevens has really got the bit between the teeth. Simpson, great tackle there by West Coast. Back to Stevens, to Abraham, could go all the way. Caught, gone, holding it. Just had to get it off earlier.
Yeah, the easy ones, Bruce.
Probably had to kick it on the left in the end. Braun to Scholl. There he is in the replay. Just run down, Braun again being involved, and now Matera away. Philip Matera at centre wing, gets it inside 50. The next goal is just so important in this match. Archer belts his way through, doesn't get all the way, but grubs it along the ground effectively. Out to centre wing, turning ball. Scholl a long way from home. He's got Jakovic on him in the last quarter. Belts the ball back to between centre wing and half forward. Freeboard. Simpson's been handy. McKenna runs him over. Boundary throw-in.
Good play there by Scholl. What he's doing with Jakovic is he's running him right up the ground just so he can't sit back across half-back and patrol and control that area of the ground.
Boundary throw-in just forward of centre wing, favouring the Kangaroos. Gardner from behind. The ball down now for Rock. Out the back to Abraham. He's getting a few important touches. And the kick to half-forward, Grant, tackled by Matera. Kick forward by Scott. Off the ground, Carey, missed it. And wasn't Matera terrific? He was back there contesting 20 metres ago and got back there to help out in the action again, and the ball taken over for a throw-in.
Freeborn good too also. There too, Robert. Here's the replay of Carey, who probably was in two minds and then couldn't get his foot to the ball. 27,150 the official attendance here, which is not as big as we thought it might be. Stevens, right footies, just not quite a behind. 85 to 94. So repeating that attendance tonight, 27,150 people. 12-13 to 14-10. Stevens having a big last quarter. North coming back. don't reckon West Coast can kick another. If they get another goal, it might be too many for North. They've probably got to keep them down here.
Yes, it'll be a difficult ask. There's 11 minutes left.
It's difficult to say that. It is difficult to say that, though, because North Melbourne do score quickly because of the way they play. The collision style of football, they bang the ball forward on every opportunity, and we often see them kick 3 or 4 goals in a hurry.
They've only kicked 3 goals in this second half at the moment.
Knocked forward again. McCartney does well to put his body in underneath there and lock it up. Between wing and half forward, it's now favouring the Eagles. Still probably 2 kicks from their goal. Heady getting into the action. Martin Pike going to line him up. McCartney tries to give a big left belt to the ball. Blakey gathers, kicks across to a wing area where the bounce is all important. Stone does well, so does Welsh. Good chase. Stone's kick is good. The mark taken by Schofield 50 metres from goal. He looks to play on. They all lead to try and vacate the goal square. Back there, Martin. Mickey Martin. Brett Heady. Mickey Martin. Still in the action. Philip Matera. Out the back. Ball. Bang. Goal. Great play, Matera. 4 goals to Jason Ball. They just kept the ball alive.
That would get you a blue ribbon at the local school sports. That tunnel ball absolutely brilliant then by Matera. Just kept the ball alive, kept it into space. Probably heard a call then from Ball on that occasion. Mickey Martin desperately trying to clear the ball. Did some good body work in the pack. But then it was Matera. He just disarmed. Mickey Martin went at the ball, and terrific play.
Celebrations afterwards. Ball's kicked 4. Matera was brilliant there. Was it a scoop or was it a tap back through the legs? It was very, very effective one way or the other. Johnny Worsfold being worked on, the West Coast captain. Well, we're going to find out, Tim, if they can kick 3 goals for the rest of the match. That's what we pondered a moment ago. That's what we questioned. North has kicked only 3 goals in the second half. To win now, they've got to kick 3 in 10 minutes. Stone goes forward. Front spot by Blakey. Free kick over the shoulder to Rock. It doesn't look, rather not Rock, to Archer, who looks as if he's hobbling a bit. Then to Rock, to Stevens. Stevens chip, not good, out on the fall. Bad luck. Scott was on the end of it. Now Cousins, Kemp lurking short. West Coast with a bit between its teeth, looking like they're going like winners. It'll be a great victory to start the season. McCartney, back to Pike. Pike wobbles one. Cousins has been very, very good. Plays on. Morrison's been even better. Kicks the ball back towards half forward. Ball and Martin. Ball with a height advantage. Mickey rode one bump. Scott. Ball came away. Pretty good handball. Blakey's going to have to get it off. Belts it back, danger. Capuano's got to keep his head. Wobbles it out wide. Pike's taken the mark. They were lucky, North Melbourne. They've got to get something going. They've got to generate something here. Get it forward and get a goal in a hurry if they're going to win this match. 85 to 100.
Certainly the onus right back on the Kangaroos as Martin Pike kicks the ball in towards the middle. Take a few risks, and that's exactly what he's done. And the mark taken by the captain pretty well in the centre of the MCG. Wayne Carey looks and then delivers to right half forward. Not bad either. Good lead, good kick. Mark taken by Scholl. Mentioned earlier that he is a good kick at goal from around that 50-metre line.
Your legs do get tired late in the game, though, Robbo. Those kicks from beyond 50 get tougher and tougher.
Well, we'll soon know as Craig Scholl prepares for his 5th. A lovely kick by Scholl is, I think it's all right. I think it's a goal. He's kicked 5. There was only centimetres in that as well, but it was a beautiful kick off the boot. Just the distance required, and he must have just got it over the line.
This becomes a critical centre bounce clearance, this next one now. If North Melbourne can get it forward again, you just sense that it will be enough momentum perhaps to carry them, and the West Coast Eagles really do need to get the ball out of this centre bounce break.
Great shot there of Scholl, keeping his eye on it. McKenna's off the ground. Reed's come on for West Coast. 13, 13, 15, 10. We still could have a grandstand finish here. Terrible bounce. Favoured North. Rock gets hold of it. kicks the ball to the 50. Scholl underneath. Jakovic's long arms. Stevens clever. Carey back to Scholl. Back to full forward. Bouncing ball. Which way will it go? Out of play. Probably a good result for North Melbourne. Better than a behind right there. Boundary throw-in. There's Guy McKenna off the ground.
Just with the blood rule, Bruce, that's all it was.
So back in a hurry, you'd think. So North deep into attack. Carey, Jakovic with strength. Kemp will want the safety of the boundary line. Works towards it. Cousins may even make it better for Kemp. Get a read, I should say. He actually moves like Cousins in his first match. Well done, though, by Welsh. No experience there between those two kids. Boundary throwing. They did a good job. There they are, Reid, and there's Welsh. In his third season, that kid in his first match.
Cousins has been good, hasn't he?
Excellent.
Hasn't had most of his possessions in the forward line. He's been up the ground. He's been a real spark for the West Coast Eagles.
Rock gets it from Stevens, who got it from Capuano. Rocking towards Abraham, too far. Banfield's taken a telling mark, an important mark. West Coast 9 points in front, very deep now into the final quarter.
Drew Banfield with the football between back pocket and left half back. Just taking a few precious seconds to deliver the ball. It's a bit of an up and under, and thumped over for a boundary throw-in. North Melbourne about to maybe swing a change here. You can see the runner frantically delivering messages. Well, both of them are on the ground. Don Pike, of course, is the runner for the West Coast Eagles, a great stalwart over quite a few years. David King with the footy there, and the boundary umpire will throw it in once again. They just crept into the West Coast Eagles forward half. Gardner to do the ruck work. Capuano tries to get the front posse down for Anderson. In turn tries to get it to Stevens, and the umpire's picked the free kick out of that.
Bump in the head of Stevens against Dean Kemp.
Oh, plucked that one out. But anyway, obviously there.
Oh, head down like that, he's got to be protected. You can't allow a player to do that, as Dean Kemp did.
Stevens kick to centre half forward. Kick forward by Bell. No one home here. Yes, there is. Look at Anthony Rock go for it. So is Guy McKenna. Still a bit of life left in McKenna's legs. Rock goes back to Freeborn. In turn goes a little further away from goal to Blakey. Blakey over his left shoulder to full forward. Bell, ding dong, Bell pushes in the well. You little beauty. If ever they wanted something then, it's Peter Bell. What's that, 3 points now?
It is, and Robbo, I want it known that you had the patent rights over that one. I don't want anyone to think Tim, John or myself were responsible for that.
I don't want anyone to think that we had anything to do with it whatsoever, Macca.
Well,
more importantly, he's kicked the goal
Front and square.
effectively to make the margin just 3 points.
what a finish. What a way to start the season in 1998. 14-13 to 15-10. The Kangaroos are charging home. They go forward. High ball by Simpson. He wants to market himself. 5 players around the footy. Go pushing forward Simpson. Bell, little kick. Gets it towards half forward. Carey using his body. McIntosh has played well tonight. And there's going to be a bounce about 40 metres out from goal. North Melbourne are coming home hard. They led early. They led by 2 at quarter time, by 2 at half. West Coast kicked 6-2 in the third. Led by 4. Looks safe. There's about 5.5 minutes remaining. And North Melbourne now getting right back. Jakovic belts it back. Cousins, Kemp, wobbles it out wide. Suddenly West Coast under tremendous pressure. And North Melbourne do look very capable of kicking those 3 goals that Tim Watson talked about a few minutes ago. Michael Malthouse, one of the great coaching careers. Footscray into West Coast Eagles. And Dennis Pagan, his counterpart here, also has a record that you could boast about for a long time. North go forward. Was it Stevens off the side? Scholl got a bad bounce. Morrison gets hold of it. Little handball to Kemp. Still the pressure on. To Jakovic, and he comes away.
Gee, they're composed, aren't they? When the pressure's on, back towards the wing. Kicked out of there by Schofield to Heady. Heady towards full forward. Must stand up. McCartney. Handball's wide, only as far as ball. Run down by Martin. Got the handball back. Hand pass there by Braun. In towards the forward pocket. It's very difficult. It was Schofield, actually. Martin, ball Well done, Mickey Martin. Got to get a free kick. Play on. Well, maybe it was the advantage because Archer was on the end of it, and this bloke's played some sort of a quarter. Anthony Stevens, he's lifted in towards centre half forward. Scholl, well done. Freeborn hacks it out of there with the left. Now Morrison and Bell back to the middle of the ground, and it'll settle because McKenna's got it. In short, long reach of Turnbull. Back to Kemp. Short pass, all right. Heady leaves it behind. Kicked away by Blakey to the safety of the line. 3 points is the margin. Just minutes left in the game.
David King made a great smother right back, Robbo, when at the start of all that frenetic play.
That's right.
It's a huge effort.
It's just going to be who withstands the pressure the best, though, isn't it? In a game like this, there's mistakes on both sides. You've just got to try and reduce those in a tight situation like this.
McKenna overkicked it, didn't he, to Turnbull?
Yeah.
He's put the pressure on, and Heady's
It's the pressure.
should have taken the mark.
It's the pressure in a tight finish. When players get tired also, he'd have to be injured if he's off
Shannon Grant.
at this stage of the game. We saw him cop a pretty heavy knock on the hip.
Reed there with Martin out of play. Well, we've waited a long time for the start of the season. Don't know about you guys, but I count the days off towards the end. You just can't wait to get here. And tonight has been a very, very good match. A beauty to start the 98 season. Whichever way it may go. Ball over the top. King has to get his kick away in a hurry. He belts it back into the centre. A bouncing ball. Scholl has played one sort of a game. Abraham just pushed forward. Good by McKenna. Good by Jakovic. Morrison, so cool. Kept his cool. Then kicks to Kemp. He's reliable to go to in this situation. Centre wing, just between centre wing and half forward. West Coast attacking. They've got about 3 minutes to hang on here. Kemp chips away. Schofield runs for him. He's still a long way from goal. They're going to try and set it up slowly and then have one big crack at it. A goal here would probably sew it up. Schofield kicks the ball inside 50. Can Ball take another big one? No, McIntosh. He came in from the side. Wants to play on. Called to play on. Left foot high. Not going to make it. Who can take it? Goal square. Big effort by North Melbourne. Not paid. Play on. Garrick was in there. Matera, he'll probably kick it. No, he's missed it. He missed a few in the semi last year, and he's missed an important one here. It's 4 points the difference.
That looks says it all.
Importantly now, North have got possession of the ball. If they can maybe go down the ground with a series of passes, but they might get a chance.
Well, they haven't been able to set much up from their kickings all night.
Well, they have gone straight down the ground, and it is still there to be won. A good contest. Back at the middle, we're watching the replay of that previous passage of play. Now they've got it out of the congestion. Archer's little kick out wide. Bell, kick off the ground, not effective. After it goes Banfield, North Melbourne supporters not happy. Bell's still there, but he's very, very much outnumbered. Morrison, what's going to happen? Throwing the ball. North Melbourne free kick. Bell not wasting any time whatsoever. Puts it to within scoring distance. A mark needed. Pike, no. Morrison, not far enough. Pike again. Left foot kick to the goal face. Not really across his body enough. Scholl can't get the kick away. It's smothered off the boot. It's still in play. Jakovic, this is a struggle. 4 points the West Coast lead. Just seconds left in the game.
Robbo, you wouldn't believe the atmosphere down here. It is something special.
You be careful when you use that one. Inside 2 minutes. Jakovic, Simpson, right to the goal line. Rolling as we go. In front the Kangas. Can you believe it? They've had a bit of luck. Stevens' goal, and now Simpson's. North from nowhere hit the front. But it's been 13 to 15 on him.
Bruce, it's just a product though, isn't it? Continually pushing the ball forward. We see them do this all over the ground. On this occasion, it's just a dribble kick. All he's trying to do is get a bit of distance, just get it to the next contest. But Pike holding off his man, Matera on that occasion, and the ball just dribbling over the line.
Oh, what a great shepherd there by Pike. Just kept Matera completely out of it. And the ball rolling through for a goal, kicked by Adam Simpson, to give North the lead with just over a minute left in the game.
North Melbourne have stacked the back line too, Robbo. They've sent 3 other forwards down there into their defence.
Capuano, Anthony Stevens has been terrific in the clinches.
Jumper held
That's
in
a
the
free
marking
kick to
contest
Banfield.
against Abraham.
Well done, Johnny. And it's Banfield with the football. He's going to be told to come back and kick over the man on the mark.
North have got
Wrong play.
3 extra players across half-back.
It goes short. It's taken by Gehrig. Now, he'd be well advised to play on, which he has done. Now, his kick has got to put the ball within scoring distance. A little kick to the middle of the ground. Good diving effort by Ball. We're into the last minute of the game. There is certainly plenty of urgency by both sides. Cousins to full forward. Great mark taken by Freeborn. If you don't mind. Stand up and be counted, boys. This has been a terrific clash between the Kangaroos and the Eagles. Presently, North lead by 2 points.
Carey short, they're going to hang on to it.
They practice this at training, Bruce. They practice going into the last minute, just controlling the ball. You've got to get up to them. You've got to get up and move on to your man. It's no good standing off. The West Coast Eagles have to man up in this situation.
Remember when the Bombers did this last year, late in the game? Carey, cross the field. West Coast are frustrated here. Blakey.
You're right now.
250th match. The Kangas are probably home here to Freeborn. What an interesting last minute and a half. Freeborn chips to Stevens. This is going to be a big win. North have done it. They've got up. A huge performance. What a finish. Two great teams. 15-13 to 15-11. There'll be some controversy about the way that match finished.
Hey Bruce, if you weren't here tonight, you missed one of the best games you've probably ever seen. Just a titanic struggle physically, and there was some sensational passages of play by both sides. And you had to watch this on the telly. There's no doubt about it.
I was impressed with North Melbourne, but I was impressed with the West Coast Eagles as we see the two gladiators just shaking hands at the end of a magnificent contest.
Fantastic game, and in the end North won by 2 points. 15-13 to West Coast 15-11.
This has been a Fox Sports presentation.